Hello, 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 Wayne Builds Worlds here, and welcome back to our Civilization VII Roman campaign. In the last episode, we established Rome and explored many of the game's core foundational systems. Now the Empire takes its next steps as we dive deeper into governments, celebrations, policies, diplomacy, independent villages, and age progressions. We'll also encounter our first major foreign leader, Harriet Tubman of Egypt, while we continue to shape Rome as this campaign unfolds. So let us continue building the Roman Empire.
Next, first we got to pick a government. Okay, so whenever we have a celebration, whenever our happiness fills up and we have that celebration, we will get a reward. And based off of which government we have, we can pick one of two rewards. So we can get a bonus to culture for 10 turns or production of wonders. Or if we pick this one, bonus to science or training infantry for 10 turns. Or if we pick this one, we get bonus to food or production towards buildings. I typically go with this one, even though Classic Republic fits Rome better. This one gives us a choice of science, which is typically something that's going to be very helpful, especially with all the bonuses to science that we're getting. We should have higher science than normal, and we're going to increase that even more. But also, our legions are going to be very strong, and this is going to give us production towards those legions. So if normally we're going to want to pick science, but if we happen to get one of these while we're at war with somebody, this would help as well. So we're gonna pick that. And now we're going to be able to pick our social policy. So we have one slot, and for every celebration we have, we're going to get an additional slot. So not only is that the celebration going to give us happiness, it's going to allow us to use more of these. That's going to be very, very helpful. So we're going to want to get as much happiness as we possibly can. We've got the choice of getting +2 culture on our palace, or +1 production, or +1 science on our palace. We're going to pick this one because it's going to increase our science. That's one thing that we're going very heavily in this playthrough, is to get our science. That may give us a science victory faster, but it will also advance us on that tech tree faster and hopefully get us a little bit of an edge over the people that we're competing against. But this is also going to give us +1 production on our palace. So in Rome, we should be able to move a little quicker through the things that we're building. We have a narrative choice. This is something also that's new within Civ 7, is that every once in a while the game just gives you a choice of something. So it says a worker, this is a Roman one. Sometimes there's ones that are tied to your leader. Sometimes they're tied to what civilization you're playing on. Sometimes you get these just by doing something. You may have a unit that dies, and the game says, okay, well, here's a choice of what to do now. So this Roman one says a worker files a complaint about stolen tools. The accused thief, however, claims to have found the tools discarded in a public place. Does that not make them unowned? So we can order the tools to be returned, and that's going to give us happiness. Or we say finders keepers shall be the whole of the law. So the worker gets his tools back, makes everyone happy because they feel that they're safer, that the government will back them up in case if they leave tools around somewhere. Or if we say finders keepers, I'm feeling like this 50 gold is maybe a bribe. I'm not sure, but that's how I'm kind of feeling. Gold is very helpful, and we don't have a lot of gold right now, but those happiness celebrations are really helpful. So let's, not only does this feel like the right thing to do, but it's also probably the more helpful, which is one thing to note, that even though it's giving you a choice and you might look at it and say, this is the option I feel is the right one, you really do have to look at the rewards you're getting. That kind of matters more than what the text says. But we're going to go with this first one, and we're going to return those tools. This is just letting us know that we've unlocked the Roman tree. We already knew that. Independent...
A caged bird watches butterflies with envy.
So we've got our animal husbandry done, which is where we're going to be able to pick a new technology to learn. But it also is warning us about, oh my goodness, it's throwing everything at us at once. Okay, so let's just do whatever's on top. Apparently, this is gonna ask you which advisor you want advising you. This may look kind of intimidating, but honestly, you can change this at any point in time. And it really is helpful at the beginning, but it's not super helpful. We're gonna pick the science advisor just because we're kind of leaning heavily into science, and it's gonna give you a path to go down. Again, you can go down all 4 of them at once. You are not stuck into this. This is just kind of guiding you at the beginning. So it's saying, hey, if you wanna get really good at science, then you want to research writing, which is going to be our first steps to building the Great Library, which, you know, yeah, if you want science, you probably should do writing. That's kind of obvious. So let me get through this stuff and click up here. Here are our 4 different things. So this track progress thing, that's all you selected. If I go over to science, you see it's checked. That's all that screen did. So you can uncheck this. You can check any of these other ones at any point. So it's not a big deal. Even though that screen looked like it was, it's not. So you can work your way up these 4 things, and you typically do want to focus on one, but you don't really want to ignore the other ones. The reason is because if you don't make progress, and by not making progress, that means staying within this area here until the end of the age. You're gonna get a dark age for culture. So you could have a golden age for one thing and a dark age for another thing. The other thing is not only avoiding the dark age, but you're going to get legacy points for getting to these markers here. They're going to give you. So remember at the beginning we had a science one to go down that science tree. This is going to give us additional points at the beginning of the exploration age. So the more we go in these, the more these points we're going to be able to spend, and the better our leader's going to be at these different things. So we're generally not going to want to ignore any of these. So this one is build 7 wonders. You'll see there are 7 hashes here. So if you can build 7 wonders in antiquity, then you reach all the way and you have a golden age in culture. And if we build 2, we reach here. If we build 4, we reach here. So we're generally going to want to at least build 2 wonders. One of the other things to note on here is that we have +5 age progression and +5 age progression down here. The way that ages work is every turn is going to give you progress towards ending the age. And there are certain things in the game that are going to prematurely advance the counter on the end of the age. So whenever somebody reaches the second check mark and someone reaches the end here, the age is going to start speeding up towards the end of the age. And that's going to happen for every civ that's in the game and for every one of these 4. So we've got World Wonders. This one here, you have to own 6 cities or towns. We can only have 3. That's our limit. So how do we get to 12? Well, by increasing our settlement limit. But the other thing too is if we conquer a settlement, that counts as owning too. So this is encouraging you to not just expand your empire. So you could reach this first one by founding 6 towns and cities, but if you take over other people's settlements, that also gives you progress. Let's go to economic. This is 20 resources equipped in your settlements. I'll explain this once we start getting some resources. It may not make a huge amount of sense right now, so let's skip this one and we'll talk about that a little bit more when that happens. And we have science. This is the one that we've picked. We want to display 10 codexes in our empire. And we reach our first one at 3, and then 6, and then we have our 10. The way that codexes work is that you get them from often doing the second stage in the tech tree. So if you do writing, and then you do writing 2 gives you a codex. But the codexes are 2 pieces. First of all, you have to unlock the codex, but you need somewhere to put the codex. And only certain buildings have storage for codexes. So we're going to want buildings that can store codexes, and we're going to want to get codexes in order to advance this. So here you see 4%. We have 7 ticks in it. That once we reach 200, so we're 7 of 200, once we reach 200, it's the end of the age. Here we have this hostile settler. If you played previous Civs, you'll know that there were city-states and there were barbarians. The barbarians were violent and the city-states were peaceful. In this game, they've combined them. So there are independent settlements which might be hostile or might be friendly. So if they're hostile, they act like barbarians. If they're friendly, they act like a city-state. And you can actually spend your influence to befriend them, even if they're hostile. So this one here is hostile, that if we spend our influence, maybe we can befriend them, we can get them to stop being hostile, and then we can eventually turn them into a city-state that we are aligned with. So let's pick our technology. We've got pottery, sailing, and masonry as our 3 choices, which we might be tempted to look at some of these bonuses to say what's going to help us the most. However, if we view the tree, we want writing. We know that that's one of the things that we want early on because this is the thing that our quest line is telling us, and the reason it's doing that is because this is going to give us a science bonus, but this library also has 2 slots for codexes. And then down here, if you look at this writing 2, see we get +1 science on science buildings, but we also gain a codex, and that's something that we want. We want to be able to do that. This little symbol here is letting us know, oh, down here there's another codex, up here there's another codex. That's something we want to do. So not only can you pick it in the previous menu, but you could actually pick it here and say, I want writing, and it's going to auto-select the path that you need in order to get to writing. So we need pottery, and then as soon as pottery is going to be done, it's going to auto-pick writing for us because it knows that's what we want. And in fact, we also know that we're going to want this writing too. So we could click that. Actually, I don't think that's working for us. So maybe we can't click the 2 until we get the 1 done. But anyways, we have those 2 selected. So we want to command our units. Let's move this guy over here, farther away, because we know we have another scout. Where's our other scout? We have 2 scouts, right? Oh wait, I sent this guy. I want to send. Well, he's there. Let's just move this guy here. I sent them both to the same place. That was not smart. Let's do our next turn. We're going to do another turn. We have met Harriet Tubman. So we've met another civilization. If we look, she's not getting as much gold as us. She is not getting as much science, not as much culture, not as much happiness. Same amount of influence. She has one city, just like us. That next thing is trade routes, and she's not as strong as us. So we want to talk to her.
So here we meet. And I gotta ask myself, you gonna be my friend or my foe?
So whenever we meet somebody, we're given a choice. We can say we're going to give them a neutral greeting. That is not going to cost any influence, and it's just going to be neutral. Or we can spend 20 influence, and that is going to reveal the capital of either leader if nearby. This means both of us. So if she's close enough to us, we're going to see her capital, and she's going to see ours. If she's far away from us, that's not going to happen. But it's also going to give us 20 relationship. So not only are we going to be able to see the capital, but we're going to get friendlier with her. Also, we could spend 20 influence to lose 20 relationship. Maybe we want to go to war. So that would help along that path. We definitely don't want that. We want to be friends with her. We don't really even have a military, even though we're probably stronger than her. We only have 2 scouts, and they can't attack. We're not in a good place to go to war with anybody, so we're going to want to be her friends. So we're going to spend 20 of our 80. That's 2 turns worth. And then we're going to go through a mountain of explanation of what this is, but we're going to be able to spend our influence to be able to do some of this stuff. Here's our endeavors. If we remember that we get +1 science for every active endeavor we have, and we can do 2 of the same endeavor. So if we look at the research collaboration, for example, if we were to do this research collaboration with her, we can't do it with anybody else. But because we're Ben Franklin, we get to do that twice. So what we probably want to do, we probably want to do this research 1. This is going to increase our science because we really love science. We're going to get the extra 1 from Ben Franklin, but in general, the research collaboration, what it does is, if you remember on the last screen we had, we're able to have the friendly greeting, the neutral greeting, or the hostile greeting. By offering a collaboration and offering an endeavor, it's going to do the same thing. They're going to have the option of accepting it, supporting it, or rejecting it. If they reject it, the relationship worsens. If they support it, both leaders get +6 science for 15 turns. That is huge. Also, our relationship is going to increase by 12. We're helping each other out, so our relationship's going to improve. But they could also choose to accept it. So the accepting is kind of like the neutral option, that we would receive only 4, not 6, but they're only going to receive 2. Sometimes you have to pick accepted because you don't have enough influence to be able to do anything else. We really care about science, so let's have this. And she accepted it. So she did not support it. She accepted it. We have 20 from that. She's neutral towards us. This is a little bit of information about her. It doesn't tell us, doesn't give us it anywhere. Okay. But one of the things you may have noticed that she is Egyptian. So she is playing the Egyptian civilization, even though she is American as well. Obviously, America was not available to her, but you know, if it had been, and we picked it, she wouldn't be able to pick that because there's only one in each game. Under endeavors, we have sanctions. It's kind of like the denouncing stuff. You'll see there's actually a denouncing one there. One of the things that I have noticed is that they tend to have civilizations that are nearby each other in the real world. So we're playing as Rome, so Egypt is near Italy, you know, so it's kind of going with that. If we were to pick China, for example, she probably would have been a more Eastern Asian civilization. That's not always the case, but that's what that is. So we now have this. Does it tell us here? It's not telling us anywhere. But we're now plus 17. So we are really doing well. Remember, we started with just plus 10. And we're already at plus 17. So we're 7 above where we were. Okay, for generations, a clan of weavers have spun fabrics prized for their warmth and strength. Now, in a rare show of respect, the head weaver offers to share their secret technique. So if we accept it, we get 45 science. But if we reject it, we get influence. We could really use that influence, but again, science is something that we're really going for. So if you notice here, right, so we've got 3 turns left and we're here, we accept it, and boom, we've already completed it. And now we've got 7 turns left to get writing. So that was helpful. That is pushing us along in our path that we need. This is Harriet Tubman's person right here. So she's going around collecting these things. So we know she's to the north because she's heading south. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to head over here and try to clean up some of this stuff before she can get at it. We don't really want to go north because, first of all, we know she's up there, and there probably isn't these discoveries up there left because she's probably been collecting them. Okay, production. So now we've got our warrior. We can now build our slinger. That's what it's letting us know here. And we have the saw pit and the brickyard. Again, I'm not overly fond of these in my starting city. They are helpful. If you're really, like if we were really going to put a lot of woodcutters up here, it would be a really good thing to have this saw pit. I don't know. I'm just not completely sold on it because I like to use the buildings. And if you have a building, you can't have, you know, if we place a building here, we can't have a woodcutter here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this slinger. Because this warrior, I'm eventually going to use them to leave here and use them to fight hostile forces that come against us. So we want that slinger to be positioned here within Rome. We're going to alert him for now, so he's just going to sit here in Rome, and if somebody comes near us, then he'll wake up if a hostile force comes near us. So explorers have discovered a network of hot springs. These vapors offer respite from the weary traveler and inspiration for the poet. Paradise does not remain secret for long. So we get money if we charge for access, or if we test the waters, we can get culture and happiness. That sounds really good. We want to get further on this thing. And happiness is always a good thing. So let's choose that. That gave us a decent amount of progress. Unfortunately, we're not generating as much culture, so it's taking longer to get there. So our city's going to grow, and guess where we're going to put this next one? Of course, we're going to put it here to get this mine. So if we look here at our warrior, he is 20 strength, and then this, well, actually there's other bonuses and stuff on there, so it won't cleanly put it up to 21, but we now have 21 for infantry units. This warrior is an infantry unit, so he gets a little bonus by having that, which is very helpful. Let's do search again. It will give us more of the map here and see if there's any more discoveries. Was there anything in this area? One way over here. So let's tell it to go over there next turn. All right, we have a diplomatic action. This is probably her. This is probably her offering to do one of those endeavors, and unfortunately we only have 40 influence, so we'll get to see what it looks like from the other side. Okay, this is not that bad. She wants open borders. We will get 2 gold per turn by having open borders. If we reject it, things get worse with her, but it's free to accept it, so we're getting gold for free, and we don't have enough, so that helps. So let's do that. So we're going to generate some more gold. Oh, there's another one. Okay, so here we want a local festival. She wants to do a festival between our 2 cultures. If we had the 60, we would have gotten 3 happiness per turn. We could spend 20 to block future projects and reject it, and things worsen. We don't want to do that. We want to stay in good terms with her. The only thing we can do is accept. That's going to give us +2 influence per turn, and she's going to get +2 per turn in cities. So that's the only thing we can do. So we'll get that. But this, we have to be able to support it to be able to get that bonus to science, I think. That's not, yeah, that didn't go up. So we weren't able to do that.
Rome is beginning to feel less like a small settlement and more like a growing civilization. We've started shaping our government, experimented with policies and celebrations, interacted with independent villages, and established our first diplomatic relations with a foreign leader. As the age progresses, the world around us is going to start to open up, and decisions we make now will begin defining the future direction of the empire. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.